A swindler faces a bleak future in prison when the gorgeous woman he disrespected turns out to be the judge of his trial. Lucky for him, he stumbles upon the icy judge's secret in the form of her naive and seductive twin sister. While Viola walks alone, Raphael takes notice of her beauty and offers her a ride. She ignores him and heads to a newsstand where she also catches the peering eyes of LaPretora. Raphael approaches her again and tries to impress her with his business card, which claims that he's an engineer. This doesn't work, so he switches strategies by sharing that he's new in town and needs directions to the city court. He clarifies that he's going there for a small matter, even adding that he's friends with the minister. Viola rolls her eyes at this and tries to leave again, but the man blocks her. He asks her out on a date, then holds her around her waist to flirt, only to receive a slap in the face. After the woman leaves, his lawyer, Bortolon, approaches Raphael and finally leads him to the city court. The lawyer assures him that his case is easy to win as they take their place in the courtroom. There, Raphael notices that LaPretora is part of their ministry, whom Bortolon describes as eccentric but scary. Despite this, Raphael is confident that he can charm the judge into siding with him as he'd done so before. Finally, the court begins, and to his surprise, the judge presiding over his case is Viola, who smiles knowingly at him. Making matters worse, Bortolon describes their judge as far more strict than their prosecutor. Apparently, the supposed engineer sold over 1,000 cans of top-quality goulash to a restaurant, only for the product to turn out to be dog food. His lawyer argues that Raphael is an underdog trying to make ends meet, but as Viola reads the list of his past crimes, which includes producing counterfeit keys and switching newborns, Bortolon's face falls. Still, he tries to pass off Raphael's crimes as mistakes due to his youth, even calling them as mere pranks. Desperate to prove this, the lawyer opens one of the cans that Raphael passed off as goulash to prove that it's not dog food. When he does, however, the contents explode in his face. Despite this, Bortolon tastes the contents, only to faint in disgust. He and his client are later chased by dogs after the trial due to the dog food on the lawyer's suit. They retreat into a cafe to discuss strategy, though the smell of Bortolon's suit disgusts some of the patrons. Bortolon warns Raphael that Viola is a tough judge to convince, hence why everyone is afraid of her. However, in truth, every man in the city court wants her, especially LaPretora, who even helped her ban all explicit films in the city. Meanwhile, LaPretora and the chairman prepare to review a film to ensure that it doesn't have graphic content. However, the chairman expresses his dislike of banning such films, even accusing their judge of being naive about the ways of men. Just then, Viola joins them at the theater, ending their discussion. Unbeknownst to them, a group of men pay the projectionist, Tony, to see the film from the projector room before it gets banned. Soon, a stone-faced Viola watches the graphic movie, ignoring the rest of the audience's tensed expressions. The projector room also gets filled with excitement, though Tony warns his audience to keep things down. Days later, Viola attends a formal event to commemorate Count Renato's project when she receives a troubling telegram. Upon reading it, she heads into the establishment's office to call her identical twin sister, Rosa, who confidently flaunts her body at a resort. She happily greets her sister over the phone, but Viola gets to the point and asks why she sent her a letter. Rosa was apparently recently dumped by a musician whom she only dated for a month. He left her while they were staying at the resort, so she's left to foot the bill, which she can't afford. This frustrates Viola, yet she can't refuse to help her sister, so she promises to go to her before ending the call. Just then, Renato arrives at the office and begins kissing the judge. She refuses his advances at first, until he mentions that everyone already left the party, including his father-in-law. This makes her wonder when he'll leave his wife for her, but Renato defends that he has to take care of his family, so he needs his father-in-law's money. He then attempts to become intimate with her, but Viola refuses since she has to meet with someone. This makes him suspect that she's hiding something from him. Meanwhile, Rosa waits at the resort when she catches a glimpse of an expensive car, giving her a new target to seduce. Unbeknownst to her, the driver is Raphael. Soon enough, Raphael notices a sultry woman by the pool, so he approaches with intent but instantly behaves when he sees Viola's face. He starts apologizing to the judge, which hints to Rosa Rosa that he knows her sister. Despite this, the woman flirts with him and even suggests he takes her out for dinner. Raphael, however, still thinks she's the judge and suspects that she's luring him to charge him with bribing her. Still, temptation gets the better of him, so he soon calls Bortolon to inform him that he's about to have a private encounter with their judge. Rosa's vitality, however, proves to be as strong as her sister's authority, leaving Raphael defeated in the tub while his companion asks for more. Soon, he exits her hotel room and picks up a suitcase left in the hallway. He uses this to pretend to be checking out Rosa's room, telling the receptionist that he'll just head out for a bit and leave the suitcase to assure them that he'll be returning to pay. In truth, however, he leaves without paying while Rosa's already fueling up the car at a nearby gas station. He then pays the gas station with a supposedly expensive watch, which the attendant later discovers is a fake. Later into the evening, Viola finally arrives at the resort. The receptionist immediately gives her Rosa's bill, mistaking her for her sister. However, she learns from the bill that Rosa was with a man. Convinced that her sister just ditched her responsibilities with another man, Viola begrudgingly pays for her sister's bill anyway. In the morning, Raphael takes Rosa to a car dealership where he sells his car for an exorbitant price. He succeeds in this even though he's already sold the car to another client who is supposed to pick it up at the end of the week. Despite earning $2 million from this deal, the owner of the dealership scolds Raphael for being late in delivering the car. The man isn't bothered by this as he has plans to utilize Rosa for his needs. On another day, a factory owner, Scotty, spies on Viola, who's taking samples from a lake where his establishment dumps its waste. This is to prove that he's breaking environmental laws and polluting the lake. Despite the samples from the lake proving his negligence, Scotty refuses to build a purification plant for his factory since it'll cost him millions. Instead, he wonders if he can bribe Viola, though his lawyer claims that the judge is incorruptible. Just then, Raphael arrives, claiming that he's the judge's husband. He proves this by showing him a photo of him and Viola, though in reality, it's Rosa in the picture. Knowing the man's struggle, he pretends to be the middleman to allow him to bribe his wife into dropping the charges against him. With this, Scotty soon meets Rosa. Tempted by her flirtatious behavior, he showers her with kisses and gives her a check for $5 million. However, she demands for $10 million, and with no choice, Scotty complies since it's still much cheaper than a purification plant. Happy with the money, Rosa celebrates by sharing her body with him. This encounter has Scotty beaming as he meets the judge in her office to settle his case the next day. Thinking she's the same woman he slept with, he immediately touches her the moment they're alone. This has her screaming for the police, leading to the man's arrest. That night, Viola heads into a motel for a secret rendezvous with Renato. However, they don't get to enjoy their time in bed as the alarm clock goes off within minutes, alerting the judge that she has to leave. Her lover complains about their short time, but she asserts that she's still apprehensive after what happened with Scotty. She believes that he wouldn't have been aggressive towards her if he wasn't prompted by something, leading her to believe that the man met with her sister. This confuses Renato, so for the first time, Viola mentions her twin sister whom she's been trying to control. Suddenly, she comes up with an idea and wonders if her lover should meet Rosa so he can tell her how her actions are affecting her career. Despite his hesitance, he tracks down Rosa, though he's surprised to find Bortolon working as a housekeeper in her lavish apartment. When he meets Rosa, Renato is stunned at how much she looks like his lover. He tells her that her sister sent him, and immediately, Rosa changes into more comfortable clothes in front of him, tempting the man. Then, when she discovers that he's Viola's lover, she asks his help in putting lotion on her body, seducing him further. Suddenly, Raphael arrives, so Renato covers up the woman to pretend that nothing was happening. However, Raphael assures him that he doesn't mind him looking at his lady, even inviting him to watch her performance tomorrow. With that, Renato heads to the venue the next day, but is surprised that the performance is for an intimate photo shoot. Despite pretending to be uncomfortable with this, the man sneaks one of the clothings discarded during the photo shoot. However, when the male models approach the woman, he complains, refusing to see someone who looks like his lover with another man. Raphael asserts that they have to continue since the producers already paid for this project. With this, Renato writes them a check to have them stop the project and reimburse them for their expenses. He then berates Raphael for using Viola's sister to besmirch the judge, but as he storms off, he accidentally drops the clothing he pocketed earlier. Raphael tosses it back to him, delighted to see that even the Count was tempted by Rosa's beauty. The following day, the city court court holds a trial against a film producer charged for promoting immoral content. During this, Bortolon gives a suitcase to the defense lawyers. The defense then makes their statement, asserting that the court should not have a say on which is moral or not. As if to prove this, they present the photos from Rosa's photo shoot, which people mistake as photos of their judge. Viola is horrified to see the images while the crowd shout accusations, throwing the courtroom into chaos. With her reputation tarnished, she approaches the court's prosecutor to express her desire to resign. She shows him Rosa's photos to explain her resignation, unaware that this has the man imagining her in her sister's body. He then refuses her resignation and instead suggests she bring Rosa to the city to prove to their people that it's not her in the photos. In truth, however, he only wants to meet the more seductive sister. Soon, Rosa arrives in the city and gets a ride from Renato to her sister's house. On their way, she insists that she didn't know her action would cause her sister trouble. Renato then asks about Rafael, and she confirms that she left him since she met another man she has fallen for. Renato thinks she's talking about him, so he moves to kiss her only for the woman to saunter out of the car, leaving him disappointed. Meanwhile, Viola is at the courthouse when she learns that Renato has finalized his divorce from his wife. She later relaxes at home only for Renato to barge in, though he assumes that she's Rosa. Quickly, she starts acting seductive like Rosa, leading to Renato confessing that he sped up his divorce process so he can be with a more carefree sister. She then rejects his advances, making him leave. Once alone, Viola drops the act, clearly hurt that even her lover was tempted by her sister's charms. To cope, she puts on one of Rosa's garments, wondering about shedding her icy exterior for a more flirtatious one like her sister's. Just then, Rosa arrives, teasing her about trying on one of her clothes. Elsewhere, Rafael meets with Bortolon as they continue hatching plans to ruin Viola. They write a letter to LaPretora, urging him to meet a priest to know more about the judge's alleged secrets. They also add the proof that Renato paid to shut down the intimate photo shoot involving his lover to prove that the judge is crooked. The plan is for LaPretora to gather fake evidence against the judge. Then they'll send Rosa to pretend to be Viola to beg him not to expose her in exchange for her services. They'll then take photos of the encounter to finally destroy the judge's career and all her connections. Soon enough, LaPretora takes the bait and sees Rosa, pretending to be Viola while making confessions at the church. After seeing her leave, he talks to the priest who's only Rafael in disguise. Rafael proceeds to make wild claims, lying that these were part of the judge's confessions. He even adds that Viola claimed to be interested in LaPretora, and this piques the man's interest. Later, Viola speaks to the prosecutor again as they plan on how to clear her name. Unbeknownst to her, Rosa's in her office pretending to be her as she meets with LaPretora. She seduces the man who falls for her trap while Rafael and Bortolon take photos. These images are soon sent to Viola. However, she notices that the clock was captured in the photo. It shows the time and date of when the encounter happened, which proves that this happened while she's on the meeting with a prosecutor, thus giving her an alibi. That evening, Renato also confronts her about the photos since they were sent to him as well. Despite her argument that it was her sister in the images, he uses this excuse to end things between them, defending that he can't be involved in such a confusing situation anymore. He even makes a big speech about this, but she just walks away, angering him. Finally, the next trial day for Rafael commences, and the man is giddy upon seeing that Viola isn't in the courtroom. Bortolon bets that Viola has resigned already, so their trial will be postponed until they find a new judge, hopefully one that they can easily sway. However, Viola arrives before the trial begins, much to their dismay. With her as the judge, all of Rafael and Bortolon's efforts are wasted as the former gets sentenced to 6 years in prison. On another day, Renato chances upon Rosa, who has her bags packed. She claims that her sister has thrown her out, so she has nowhere to go. She asks the man to let her move in with him temporarily, and Renato accepts. That evening, as they relax in his home, Rosa asks Renato if he's still in love with her sister. He denies this, so she takes him to the bedroom to offer herself to him. After they're tied together, Rosa asks the man to take her to a place where no one knows them. He agrees, though after finally being with his seductive sister, he realizes that he still can't get Viola out of his mind. This proves to him that he's still in love with her, though he's not brave enough to say it to her. Rosa smiles at this, then turns to make a phone call. Using her real voice, Viola, who's been pretending to be Rosa, calls the prosecutor to finalize her resignation from the city court so she can elope with Renato. Realizing this, Renato proceeds to celebrate with her as they're now free to be lovers without the constraints of their status.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.